Okay. How are we beginning? How shall we begin? Have we begun? Is this the beginning right now?
Why don't you
I feel
start?
like this is the beginning.
I've started the last couple one.
I think I already have started, Grant.
Okay.
We've begun, sir. We are now in the surf. You are caught in the vice grip of the beginning of this podcast and the end of your life, basically, which slowly
the
move towards each
podcast
other.
is an ocean that has a riptide and is going to kill me, but it's kind of like a slow motion version of that, is what you're saying?
Well, I used a different metaphor entirely because I said vice grip, but sure.
But you said in the surf. Why would you say vice grip in the? Are you talking about like there's an animal with a vice grip on me in the surf?
What? Sure.
Are you mixing? You're mixing metaphors.
I think animals are perfectly capable, some of them, of using tools. Grant, have you ever seen a beaver in your life?
Yes. I live in Oregon.
Grant?
Yeah.
So you've seen a beaver. Have you ever seen a beaver using like a wrench?
Yeah. I live in Oregon.
So
you think I don't get my car fixed in Oregon? Of course I've seen a beaver use a wrench.
The beaver unions are the worst, by the way. It is unbelievable.
You can say what you want in New Hampshire. I can't talk about that. I'm in Oregon. Yeah. They will find me.
Those Portland beavers are the absolute worst. The social justice beavers are like so annoying. Yes, I gave it the office, man. Like I feel that way too about everything you're saying. I swear. Yeah, fucking brutal. But like a beaver with a vice grip is kind of what I'm talking about. Not an ocean, a surf, like SERF, not SURF. Obviously,
I see. An unpaid beaver. It's an unpaid beaver.
Well, it's not that they're not compensated. It's not. It's a different kind of compensation. They get room and board and less beatings if they do well. That's a form of bonus, right? That's your bonus, is you get beaten less, beaver. And you're allowed to beat beavers. What is anyone going to say about that? Bring it on, PETA. PETA, that's my friend Peter Jensen. He lives next door. Because I'm in the Northeast now.
We're talking about the NBA, right? This is an NBA show?
We said we wanted wackier openings. I've delivered once again. You're welcome.
You just always deliver. You're like Luka Doncic, you know?
That's right. That's right. Moving up the MVP ladder, Grant. Watch out. We have a bet. We have a 15-year bet on Luka versus Zion MVPs, and suddenly it's in play.
Hey, before we get to the actual topic of the day, let's get. I want Jones's opinion on my offer. I don't know if Jonathan's just negotiating or not, but so Jonathan and I have a bet on the Blazers win total. I have over 34.5. They're definitely hitting over 34.5.
Yeah, they are.
Because they're at 34 right now. They're 34 and 36 for $100. I offered him that his burden could become $200 and mine could become $0, and we could move the line to 39.5. And they play the Nuggets twice and the Spurs twice, and he said it was a bad offer.
It's a bad offer.
So they have 12 games left.
Yes.
So they have to win. They have to win
for me to win
6 or half their games. I don't know, and they got to play the Wolves tonight.
Yeah.
So.
Isn't Anthony Edwards not playing?
Yeah, he's not playing, so they could actually win that.
They play the Spurs in the second to last game of the season.
Yeah, they might be.
I don't know if Victor Wembanyama is going to be playing that game. They play 5 tanking teams as well. It doesn't seem like a great offer to me. I'm not negotiating. If you want to take the other side, you can. If you think it's really fair and we can take the other side and do double.
Stop your negotiating bullshit. You are doing that. You always do the. Do you want to take the other side thing? That is negotiating.
No. I mean, literally, I will take under 39.5. You can have over 39.5. You think it's
but
fair
that's not
the other way around.
That's not the entirety of the situation. The situation is you literally are going to owe me $100 within the next couple of days.
Of course,
you've lost the bet. Like
I know.
I'm giving you an alternative option. It's not the same as, hey, let's make a new bet, 39.5. I know it's not the best option for you, but the other option is that you lose $100 immediately.
No, that doesn't make any sense. No, it is a new bet, whether you frame it that way or not. It's a double or nothing bet on a different line. Because I've lost this bet, like you said. It's a new bet, no matter how you want to frame it. It 100% is.
Not exactly, because it expunges the current bet that we have, the $100 bet.
No, it's just a double or nothing bet. No, it doesn't expunge anything, because I've lost that $100 to you. You can only win. I can only best. It's just a double or nothing.
No. You could pay 0 if they don't hit 40 wins. You pay 0.
That's what double or nothing is.
Yeah,
that's a second bet called double or nothing.
It's not a second bet. It changes the other bet.
I mean, Grant, you're really caught in the semantics of the vice grip of the surf right now, man, and it's tough to see. It's tough to see.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Look, if you think your offer's so generous, take the other side. If not, I'm not doing it.
I'm not saying it's
not negotiating anything. I'm just saying I like the other side better. That's the only one.
All right, I'm not saying it's so generous. I am saying, based on the situation that we're currently in, like I'm not saying that you need to take this bet or anything. I'm not. I just your reaction was I felt a little strong in the situation where I'm just giving you an alternative option to immediately losing $100, and I'm not trying to force this bet.
The option is to make a worse bet. Like the next $100 though, the option is to have what I believe is a negative expected value on the second $100. That's
fair. Okay.
That's not a good bet for me, so I wouldn't do it. Yeah, that's why I don't play roulette.
But the expected value may be negative. I agree with that. It's like maybe your expected loss is like $108 if you change the bet, whereas the current expected loss is $100 exactly.
It's 100, right?
But there are outcomes where you lose $0.
Yeah, but I don't care that much.
Okay.
Like it's not the end of the world.
I'm just saying, like, it doesn't seem like it's that bad of an offer. Like the way that you framed it is like it's like a terrible offer.
I just felt it was not an offer I would accept.
It's an under 500 team has to win half of their games the rest of the year.
Again, they're playing like 5 tanking teams, and they're playing teams at the end of the season when teams often aren't going to be playing their superstars because the playoffs are coming. They don't want them. They're a little nicked up. They don't have to worry about Wembanyama has still I think 2 or 3 games to go before he hits the 55 game number. So if there's 2 games left, he very well may not be playing in that game because they're like, he's made it to 65. We don't have to worry about it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not a thing. Or even if he does play, he may only play like 1 minute, so he makes it to 65.
I hear all your points, and I have no problem with you rejecting the offer. I wanted to get was Chris's opinion on if the offer is as bad as you think it is.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it does.
You spent a lot of time arguing for something else, but go ahead.
It does seem to me like it is a double or nothing bet. So I would agree with Jonathan there. I don't know that the line is... I mean, the line seems fair. Like, I think that's where you would set the line if you were making this bet right now. Like, how many more games will the Blazers win? Like, I feel like that's where the line would be. So that feels fair.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. Again, I don't want to... Let's not spend all the rest of our lives on this, actually. I don't need to...
All right, we can be done with it. I just wanted to get Chris's opinion on if...
Okay. Look, if we weren't in this situation where the teams were tanking clearly and are like all going to lose for sure, and if we weren't in the situation where it was the very end of the season, I would agree with you that it was a fair offer. I think the circumstances make it what I feel like is a negative. So instead of being like a coin flip, I don't think it's a zero EV play.
Your hypothesis,
again, that's why I would take the other side.
Your hypothesis, which I may agree with, is that the Blazers are one of the few teams that are actually trying to win at the end of the season.
Yes. 2/3 of the league are trying to win. The other third's trying to lose. And the Blazers are playing a bunch of those teams. And so those should all be automatic victories, essentially. Maybe it's 4 games. I don't really know. I'd have to look at. But they're playing a bunch of those teams that are just should be automatic wins. The Blazers have decided to win. And actually, what I think about now, here's some alpha. With NBA regular season win totals, is the stuff in the middle, like where the Blazers were at 34.5, are actually probably interesting bets because you are rarely going to have teams that end up right around 34 wins now. You're going to have teams that are way worse and way better because of all the tanking. Maybe that'll change as of next year. We'll see what they do with the rules, if the incentives are strong enough. My guess is they won't be strong enough to change them. And so that means teams that are in that thing, if you can just figure out if they're trying to win or not, you may not be able to figure that out because they may not know what they're doing until it's too late. But my guess is they're rarely, it's going to be a much more dynamic outcome than somewhere around 34. It's going to be like 40 or it's going to be like 25 a lot. Well, then if circumstances continue.
So books now let you set your own lines in some cases and they give you odds for it. So is the move based on that to say, like, you take a team like the Blazers, say you believe for whatever reason you think you have some sort of knowledge that is good on the situation, and the line is set at 33 next year, to bet on like under 23 or over 40 and get better odds? Is that the move then?
I mean, I think assuming that the NBA doesn't change the rules dramatically, that is an interesting idea. What I'd be really interested in is finding like 3 or 4 of those teams that are around 33 wins. And looking at them, and if it feels like they all have a reasonable chance to end up tanking, you bet the under on all of them, and you're trying to hit, maybe out of 3, you bet the under on 2 out of 3, and you hope to hit 2 of them. And you got to look closely at the league landscape for sure. And sometimes you're just going to get it wrong, right? Like because things go weird. Like the Bucks tanking isn't something you would have thought, but the Bucks are now actively tanking, for example, right? They have Giannis. Yeah. He's not. I mean, he's quote hurt, but he's trying to play. They won't let him, right?
He's not.
Right. So, but like you look around and it's like besides something like that, like you could have reasonably said, well, obviously the Nets are going to tank. You could have made a case that the Blazers would end up tanking though, and they didn't, right? Yeah. Because they were good enough. Now I would have said they're going to trade Drew Holiday at some point. They're going to trade, but they didn't. They kept Drew Holiday. They kept Robert Williams. They kept the older guys. They kept Jeremy Grant. And they start these guys, like not Robert Williams, but they start the other two guys, and Robert Williams is part of the rotation. So that means they're actively trying to win games. Like everyone's trying to win their, I guess the interim coach aspect may be part of it. I don't know. But whatever it is, they're like, we're not tanking. We're rolling with this. And maybe Denny Advia, his ascension has been a bit of a surprise to this much. I mean, to this level, certainly it is. He's probably the NBA's most improved player. So that brings them up and makes it easier not to tank also, because they don't need necessarily like a franchise guy. When they look around, they're like, we have a bunch of candidates to be a franchise guy, and this guy's at least a good number two. This guy's like a championship level number two already. Mm-hmm. And maybe he can grow into that number one, maybe not. But we have other guys who might be able to do that. There are other ways this could work. So but I think that may be actual alpha, depending on what the NBA does with their tanking rules. Mm-hmm. That'll be really interesting to try and game out once they come up with whatever they're saying, and see if they're actually going to do a good job incentivizing teams not to tank. If they don't, this kind of bet could really be in play.
I really hope that this bet's not in play, because I would love it if nobody fucking tanked. As those who have listened to our other episodes know, we've done plenty of content on tanking and how we hate it and what we want to do to fix it. Real quick, one more question before we get to the actual topic of the show. How do you feel about my bet that I made with a guy I play poker with? He's from Utah. He bet me like 10 games ago. $100 straight up. Blazers wins versus Jazz wins next year.
Oh my gosh. That is really interesting.
Yeah.
It's a
$100. I guess I like your side, but I don't love your side. But I like your side. The Blazers already have like a top 25 guy or top 20 guy now. They've got a lot of young pieces who are looking to get better. They seem like they're actually trying to win. They can do lots of things, like with Drew Holiday. They either keep Drew Holiday and they get to play him, or they trade Drew Holiday for something. And I guess it could be like a first-round pick, but it could also be a young player, which they could plug into the rotation. Like some team that needs one more piece to try and push them over the top might trade for – the Spurs might trade for Drew Holiday, for example, and give up something of actual value. But the Jazz, their Jazz starting five next year, healthy is impressive, is like really good. And if Jaren Jackson Jr. can not suck at certain things, can average more than 4.5 rebounds a game, okay, it's like 5.2. But you see my fucking point.
He probably will not. I mean, he's like 27, right? Is it really going to change now?
The only thing I can say is maybe the Jazz will have a different kind of strategy than the Grizzlies did. Because like Brook Lopez, when he was on the Nets, started averaging like 6 boards a game for like several years, because the strategy was not for him to like rush the boards, but to run out, because he was such a good 3-point shooter. So like, let someone else rebound. We don't want you doing that. And so he just stopped. But he has the capability of rebounding. He has shown it both before and since. So it seems unlikely, because like you said, it's been a long time. I don't think JJJ's ever shown, the ability to rebound strongly. He's such a weird player.
Yeah, he is.
He's so fucking strange. But that's such an interesting team they built around him now. I would take your side, but I wouldn't love it.
Yeah,
Chris, what do you think?
I think I would take the Jazz.
Woo!
I mean,
that's cool.
We just played the Jazz. The Wolves just played the Jazz, and like they had like 5 people out because they are actively tanking. And those 5, I'm like, those are all really good players. Keontae George, I think, is like a rising star in the league. Plus, they could get the number 1 overall pick, and this draft is loaded. Plus, Ace Bailey is like starting to like actually look good too. Ace so Bailey. Like, I mean, the Jazz might be really good next year.
I don't know. I mean, you guys make fun of it, but look out for the ascension of Scoot Henderson.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
Well.
Also, Donovan Clingan is legit. Donovan Clingan is
he's awesome. Every time
we give you Clingan. We give you Clingan. We do not give you Henderson. I follow Scoot Henderson, man. He has his moments, but like,
do you really follow him?
He is not. I mean, I check his box score every game to see how he did. I'm like super curious because I like to know, and we have this long-term bet on him, so I care.
If you watch him play, it's fun to look. There's flashes. He hasn't had an opportunity this year that much. He hasn't been in the rotation for long. He had a quad injury that took him out for 3/4 of the year. So, I mean, there's real flashes. This is one of the things, though. As a person who watches the Blazers, and this is not the consensus among Blazers fans, but I'm higher on Henderson than Sharp. A lot of people are way higher on Sharp as like the potential star. I don't really think he's a potential star. I think he's a potential sixth man type of guy.
If I had to pick one of those guys to make an all-star team, I would go with Scoot Henderson too, but that's not a great compliment to Scoot Henderson. It's more a put down on Shaedon Sharp's potential at this point.
But he has such good dunks.
The thing I want to say about the NBA, which is tough, is that every player who plays in the NBA, if they get enough minutes, show some flashes. So it's hard to distinguish who's going to be a star and who isn't, right? Like part of it is like seeing athleticism, part of it is seeing tools, but part of it is like for some of these guys, either the light goes on or it doesn't. And sometimes it takes years where the light just doesn't go on. And I don't know why, but it's real, like young players, like almost all of them. I mean, as a Celtics fan, man, second round picks who show up look pretty good for 10 game stretches, 15 game stretches, even season long stretches. And I'm like, this guy's for real. And then he's just not. But then we get a Peyton Pritchard where I'm like, I think he's pretty good. And then it turns out he is. I don't know how to tell the difference. So I'm not saying you're wrong about Henderson showing flashes, but I'm saying it's a seductive thing because the nature of the NBA is that the marginal differences between the bad players and the good players isn't that big sometimes. You know, it's like to even be in the league, you have to have a bunch of skills. You have to be relatively athletic. So you're going to show some stuff no matter who you are. So it's just a little trickier.
It's just my field player bullshit. I watch both Scoot and Sharp and I'm like, oh, Sharp he's not going to do it. And when I watch Scoot, I'm like, if he can stay healthy, he's going to do it. It's just my sense of it. So, all right. But we should get to the topic at hand instead of this.
I think it's a great idea.
Forever. But it doesn't matter because this is the podcast portion and nobody cares, right? You just listen. If you like us, you're listening to the podcast. Congratulations. You just got to hear a bunch of extra shit. No, no need to edit. Why would we edit?
He might have. Chris might have edited. We have an editor. I don't know. He might have done it. He might have not that. It's repetitive.
People watch the shorts on YouTube. We're going to say some incendiary shit later about NBA expansion, and that's what people will actually watch. So let's talk about that because there is going to be an NBA Board of Governors meeting next week, I believe. And that is when they will vote almost certainly to expand to Seattle and Las Vegas and add two new franchises, entirely new franchises, and they're not relocating other franchises to the NBA. And people have a lot of thoughts about that, including us. Jonathan doesn't know where he stands on it. He has no idea what he thinks about it. A man not only knows nothing about anything else, but also not himself. What a life.
Is this Game of Thrones?
It might be.
The guy from Jaquan
in the Game of Thrones, you win or you lose. Isn't that what they say?
That's close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah. So Jones had a couple of points that he wanted to bring up on it and to see what everybody thought about it. So let's get to Jones's points. Well,
I mean, I think the first one is sort of the global one that I just wanted to start the conversation off. Like, does the NBA need to expand? Is this a good thing for the league? Or I mean, I think we have a legacy city, Seattle, that once had a thriving NBA franchise. We've got a new kind of up and coming Vegas town that's kind of a weird sports city, but everyone seems to want to have their teams there. Is this good for the league to expand to these two cities and to grow the league?
I'll go. I thought Jonathan was going to go, but I'm going to go. I think it is. It's a net neutral for the league, I believe. I may change my mind once we get to some other topics because I haven't fully dived into it. But I think it makes a lot of sense to expand to these two cities in particular. I know in the past, sometimes when they've done expansion, they've had like a bidding process where potential owners can bid with certain cities as their backer or whatever, and it's not like the city is set in stone. But I think it makes sense to put franchises in these places. You could argue for some international destinations. I don't think there's any American cities that you could argue over these two cities as the best potential expansion areas. I think putting them in the West is good due to the realignment that will happen in the conferences and make the actual Eastern teams more Eastern, and more density in the West is good. Seattle is an obvious choice. They have a new arena. That was one of the big sticking points that the Oklahoma City owner used to pretend that he needed to move out of Seattle. But they have a new arena that they built for the Seattle Kraken that apparently meets the NBA standards, so they can play there. So that hurdle has been passed. Seattle obviously would be a huge, wealthy fan base. That's good. That's a good thing for the NBA to have. Las Vegas has all of the infrastructure. The T-Mobile Arena, where the Golden Knights play, is right there, right in town. It's like a really great setup for a sports fan to enjoy a team, and it makes a lot of sense because NBA Summer League is in Vegas. I've heard a lot of NBA pundits call Vegas the NBA's like second home or whatever, the home away from home, because that's where they have the NBA Cup there and they have Summer League there. So I think it's good for Las Vegas. I think it's good for Seattle, and I think they are sensible places to expand too. For the league as a whole, I think there's a lot of questions involved in that. I don't see it being a bad thing for the league as a whole. Those are my thoughts.
I think as a fan, if the NBA solves tanking to a large degree, it makes it much more palatable to have two new franchises. If it is not solved and we just get two more teams that are doing this, so we go from 12 teams or 14 teams that are losing intentionally basically now to 16 teams, it's going to make the league clearly worse. So these things to me go hand in hand it only works if the tanking stuff is fixed. If the tanking stuff is fixed, it's fun and it's awesome pretty much right away. Like you get an expansion draft, which is awesome. I mean, nothing really ever great comes out of an expansion draft, but with salary cap things too, it's kind of fun, and it's fun to play along and have the game of it and the decisions. You get teams that are different and new, and I love all that stuff. So that part is good. Like looking back, they added the Timberwolves, they added the Heat, they added the Magic, they've added other OKC. I guess OKC wasn't an expansion team; that was just a move. They added the Vancouver Grizzlies, they added the Raptors. I guess the Grizzlies became the Memphis Grizzlies, but still they added the Bobcats. These have all been positive things for the league. I don't see these as bad. There's always the talk of does the league have enough talent to support something like this? But as I look around, I think the answer is probably yes. First of all, there's a lot of great talent coming into the league, and it's more international than it ever used to be. And so I think we can support it. If you look, the top 5 guys for MVP, how many of them are American? Maybe Jaylen Brown, maybe Cade Cunningham. Everyone else is foreign. And when was the last time we had an American win the MVP? It's been years and years and years at this point, which is fine with me, to be clear. So I think the league can support it talent-wise. I don't mind also if we have less super team type stuff anyway, if everything gets a little bit more diluted. Do the Cavs really need to have 4 essential all-stars on their team? I mean, good for the Cavs to have it, don't get me wrong. But if they had 3 and someone else had 1, that would be okay. The Cavs would still be a really good team, right? And in fact, the way the NBA plays, usually they don't play all 4 of their best players because the NBA never plays. How often do you get 2 teams having both their starting lineups in at the same time? It feels like it almost never happens except at the beginning of the season. This is another problem with the league. This comes back to something where I would like it. I don't think they will do this, but I would like it if they cut down. This is something we talked about before on the schedule. Mm-hmm. If we're going to do this, maybe we get less load management and more it's just crazy that it's so rare to see your team as a Celtics fan. I almost never see them have their whole starting 5 out there. It's like 20% of the time in the second half of the season. Now, sometimes there's injuries and stuff like that, but there's also just Jalen is not going to play all the back-to-backs, and neither is Derek White. And it makes sense to me. I get why they do that, right? Derek White's in his 30s. They want him for the long haul. But if we were playing a 70-game season even, maybe those 12 less games would be enough. And is there a way to make up for that? I mean, I don't know if there is. You add another layer of playoffs? God, don't do that.
No, you don't need to. You've ignited a lot of thoughts in me because some of my points were based on I listened to the Ringer's NBA show on this. I listened to the beginning of it, and then I got so annoyed that I stopped listening to it. It was with Howard Beck and Logan Murdoch talking about this, and I just disagreed with every fucking thing that they said. But they said that it would, like, they were basically saying this is a money grab, and it's not fan facing at all, and that it will dilute the talent and that it will be problematic in that way. I agree with you. I don't think it will dilute the talent. I think there's a lot of unused talent in the NBA or unshining talent. Like, there's so much more available talent than there was 20 years ago due to the international game. I don't think there's going to be any issue at all with the dilution of talent. And there will be 164 extra games played due to these two teams existing, right? If we have an 82-game season. So we could reduce the amount of games played and still meet similar broadcast deal goals, right? It would maybe not get quite all the way there, but who the fuck wants to watch the Jazz resting all 5 of their starters? Or who wants to, like, oh, look at this marquee matchup. It's the Celtics against the Warriors, but Jaylen Brown and Steph Curry aren't playing. It's on ESPN on Thursday night at 7 p.m., but you know what? You don't want to watch it anyway. So what's the point? Like, so if we have these extra games that we could plug in and maybe have the same broadcast deal and the broadcasters won't feel jilted and they'll have a higher quality product, you reduce it to, say, 70 games. Who's playing more than 70 games anyway? Mikal Bridges and nobody else? Like, who cares? You're not actually losing any amount of that player playing because nobody actually plays 82 games anyway. It doesn't matter. So adding these games is a huge opportunity adding these teams is a huge opportunity to reduce the number of games and put a better product on the floor. And players will be injured less, so the talent that is on screen will actually be undiluted. What's the opposite of diluted? Concentrated. It'll be concentrated because the better players will be playing more frequently because they won't be load managed and they won't be hurt as often if they don't have to play as often.
Another thing too, which
positive.
helps make up for the money part of it, is the word on the street is that these expansion franchises are going to cost $8 billion each. And that is money that would just go directly to the other team. So that's about $500 million per team, give or take. That should cover a lot of like any like small loss revenue at the gate because you have 10 less games or 12 less games. Okay, we sold a few less hot dogs this year. I don't even know if that's true, by the way. I guess a lot of NBA teams sell out, all the successful NBA teams sell out. So maybe that's fine. But all the teams that don't sell out, which there are some, right? Especially the bad teams, which are not trying to win. If they start selling out because they're trying and people like their team and care, when I was a young NBA fan, I would have gone for sure to see my bad team every day if it was cheap and it was easy to do, as like a 17-year-old. I would have loved to do that. It wasn't available to me. I lived in Hartford, Connecticut. So I had to watch the Celtics on TV, but I didn't care if they were bad or good. I just wanted to watch them play. And I loved going to the games whenever I did. So I think that, this could work, but realistically, the NBA is not going to cut it down to 70 games, right?
But it's an opportunity.
Talking about things that aren't going to happen.
I hope they at least think about it. I hope they at least think about it because it's a great opportunity.
I think they will. They'll think about it. I mean, their solve number one for some of this stuff was the 65-game rule for awards and stuff like that, which I think was a pretty good idea, even though it creates some weird situations now where like a bunch of these guys are, if they just hurt them, if they dislocate a finger, they're going to miss out on MVP. Yeah. Like Shea is really close and he's probably going to win MVP, but he may just not be available to it. Nikola Jokic, similarly. Wembanyama, similarly. Cade Cunningham now looks like he's not going to be able to qualify because he just has a collapsed lung. He's almost certainly not. There's a weird scenario where Jaylen Brown might actually win the MVP, which would be, even as a Celtics fan, fucking insane. Not in a good way. Yeah. Not in a good way. His numbers are not good enough. He is not the MVP of the league. He's had a nice year. It's different.
Derek White's a top 5 player, not Jaylen Brown.
I mean, according to some. So that helped, but I mean, the load management stuff is still in play a lot, right? Because you're like, okay, we have 17 games not to play these guys. That's a lot, and we see it show up way more than it should. If they played 2 games a week instead of 3.5, whatever it is, that would fix a lot of it. If you eliminated all the back-to-backs alone, that might create a scenario where you just play everyone. It could be like you have to play your stars if they're active, and if they're not active, maybe you just set up a thing like it's the baseball designate, the injury list on baseball, whatever that is, the DL. Mm-hmm. What is the DL?
List?
The disabled list, right? Where you're not out for you can't just be out for a game. You have to be out for 5 games if you go on the DL, kind of a thing. So you don't just put people on the DL just because, right? Something like that. I don't know. I mean, it gets weird with injuries because who can really say if Jaren Jackson needs to sit out or not? Like, we think almost certainly he doesn't, but he may have a thing with his wrist where actually he does, like there's no way to know for sure with these situations. So it gets a little weird. Obviously the Jazz are clearly tanking and sitting some of their guys out. They don't need to, but in more nuanced situations, that may not be so obvious where it looks like it, but it may not always be true where the player actually is hurting. Sometimes the player's clearly got a physical ailment and even the team doesn't believe him. This happened with Kawhi Leonard for years with the Spurs, right? That's why he left the Spurs, because they didn't believe him when he was hurting. So it's weird.
Well, all right. We've gotten in a little bit in the weeds on game reduction. That's just a potential positive byproduct of league expansion. Mm-hmm. So let's get to Jones's next question on league expansion.
So necessarily when you add two teams, you're going to have to shake up how you organize the league and how you either realign it or change whether you even have conferences. So what do you think about realignment? What should happen with realignment? And does the NBA, one proposal I've seen is that the NBA doesn't need conferences anymore. That in fact, we could just go to a 1 through 16 playoff format. Teams would play each other equally across an entire schedule, and the notion of conferences is sort of useless in a modern world. What do you think of either that or how realignment should work?
I am for it, baby. I'm starting. I'm for it. I agree we don't need conferences. I don't know why we have them really. I don't know why the NFL has the NFC and the AFC anymore. I'm not really sure what the points of that are. Why not just have it set up like the NCAA tournament is happening right now, and that just is a purely seeded tournament. Now they put them into brackets, fine, but you have no right to any bracket, as a team. You just get seeded from 1 to 68, really, and then they line you up as a result. I think that creates better competition. It's more fun. It's more interesting, and then also you avoid some weird things where. The Super Bowl is actually a great example of this, where the Patriots were clearly overmatched by the Seahawks this year, right? And wouldn't it have been great if the Rams played the Seahawks in the Super Bowl? We would have had a classic game. They would have been the two best teams, probably. It just would have been cleaner and better. I want the championship game to be the two best teams most of the time. And the way it's set up right now, getting the best of the AFC versus the best of the NFC or the best of the Western Conference versus the best of the Eastern Conference creates situations where that often isn't the case for no real good reason anymore except tradition, as far as I can tell.
Well, I mean, there's obviously the travel piece that still does exist. I know they travel in luxury, but if you play teams in your conference more frequently, assuming the realignment would actually help some of the geography as well, then you're doing less travel time. Because if the Celtics play the Knicks 5 times a year, that's a lot easier than the Celtics playing the Warriors 5 times a year for both teams. There's nothing you can do about that even with a private plane. It doesn't matter. So there is that. The NBA loves rivalries. I think that the default wisdom of the NBA and the NFL is that the rivalries are more easily cultivated and kept when there are conferences and divisions, when the teams play each other more frequently. That might happen naturally regionally, but they're probably right to an extent that those rivalries are blossoming more due to playing more against each other, most likely. And I think as fans, most fans are not really game theory in the weeds type people, and they enjoy the tribalism that is invoked by conferences and divisions, and how there's us and others, and the interesting, I root for the Eastern Conference because my team is in the Eastern Conference sometimes, or I care if I beat the Cavs more than I care if I beat the Warriors because I'm a Pistons fan and we're rivals with the Cavs because we're regional rivals. I think there are some benefits to it. Let's not pretend there's nothing that's good there. But I understand how it does fix a lot of things, all the things that you said. The travel would be a bit rougher, for sure. And I do think rivalries would suffer to some extent.
Counterpoint. Most rivalries happen because of playoffs, not because of regular season. Especially these days in the regular season where the stars aren't even playing a lot of the time. Like you said, it's rare, even though the Celtics and Knicks play each other 4 or 5 times or whatever it is each season, for all 5 starters on both teams to be playing, where it would even sort of count in a fan's mind as like a fair, real game. Like
yes, but if you remove the conferences, then you don't have the same teams playing in the playoffs year after year like you do with conferences. You don't get to see Jordan smoke the fuck out of Allen Houston and John Starks 8 times in a row if there's no conferences. Jordan smoked the fuck out of teams in the Western Conference too then instead, and they play the Knicks like twice instead of 6 times. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I guess I feel like even if we have, 34 teams instead of 32 teams in the NBA, or is it 30? I guess 32 instead of 30. Like, that's not so many teams. It's not like we've got 200 teams or anything like that. So I feel like natural rivalries happen because of proximity anyway. Like, so for example, the Mets and the Yankees play each other a whole lot less than the Yankees and the Red Sox play. But the Mets and the Yankees is a huge rivalry now because they're both in New York and it's a Subway Series, and that's enough. People really care about the Subway Series every year because that's the deal. Even though the Red Sox are sort of the Yankees' most natural rivals and are hated for sure, the Mets is a big thing. It's much more big than, say, the Yankees playing the Orioles, even though they play the Orioles a lot more.
Would you say it's a big deal when the Clippers play the Lakers?
I think in LA it is, especially the Clippers fans.
Really?
I don't know if Lakers fans care so much.
Which Clippers fans? Which one of the 7 Clippers fans are you talking about?
Bill Simmons was a Clippers fan for many years.
Okay.
He would go to all the games. Also, the Clippers have been better. The Clippers have been better of late. Come on.
Yeah, I mean,
Kawhi Leonard, man.
Not having Donald Sterling as your owner is probably pretty good.
Probably helps.
Steve Ballmer's a Clippers fan.
He is. He's an outrageous Clippers
sweaty.
fan.
So the NBA, just to kind of continue the realignment thing, the NBA did announce that, and I think the idea of them not going to conferences is sort of a fantasy. They're not going to do that. And they announced that it would either be Memphis or Minnesota that would be moving to the East. Do you care? Do you have a preference? Do NBA fans care? Like, does it matter which team they pick?
Nobody cares except people in Memphis and Minnesota, I think.
My impression.
It's
too.
good that one of them moves.
But I can't imagine anyone else does.
You're a Memphis guy, so you care about that. He's from Memphis, everyone. Born and raised.
Barbecue.
So, Grizz forever. But no one else gives a damn at all. Like, no one's even going to notice or remember that it happened. And they'll be like, oh, we play Minnesota more. Oh, they're in our conference. God, I forgot that. I didn't realize they were in our division. Oh, when did that happen? That's how it'll be for everyone else. That's the way it works.
Yep.
Yeah.
Last thing on conferences, with having 2 expansion teams in the West, is that fair that the Western Conference now gets to add like 2 bottom dwelling teams for competitive balance if we're going to keep conferences?
If you're going to add it to one conference, it's more fair to add it to the West, I guess, because the East is worse. So that's fair in the modern landscape. I don't think that's why they're doing it. I think it's because they want it to be Las Vegas and Seattle. It has nothing to do with that, but it just so happens to align with that. And over time, I don't think it matters. I think like you have to do what makes more sense geographically and politically and city-wise than worry about those things when you're going to expand, because in 5 years it's not going to matter. So I don't think it matters.
All right, I got 2 more things to talk about.
With Grant.
Okay, great. How do you think they should fairly allocate players and draft picks? How do you deal with talent acquisition for these two new teams?
So the ways
usually
go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
The way they've done it in the past is you get to protect 8 players on your team, and then the expansion teams get to pick from the remaining players. And then they've done different things with the draft. Like the Bobcats got the 4th overall pick by default, I think. Mm-hmm, and in previous years, there was like the 6th and the 7th pick given. I don't really know why certain picks are given at different times. So I don't have nuanced thoughts on the draft. I don't really think they should have a shot at the number 1 pick. Maybe the top 3 is a good thing to exclude them from. I'm not sure. Maybe they should be given like...
Why shouldn't they get a shot at the number 1?
Maybe they should. Maybe they should.
I mean, they're like going to be the worst possible teams in the league. They're going to be
what should
the bottom of the bottom.
If we're still doing the lottery, if we're still doing, what should their lottery odds be? Like what, as if they finish in what place in the NBA?
I would put them at the very bottom. They're going to be the worst team in the league, right? Why not acknowledge that? Like, why are we slowing down their build? Like, they're going to be awful for a long time if they get the number one pick or not in almost every scenario, right?
I think that's awesome.
All we're doing is making it harder.
It's awesome for multiple reasons.
Over the tanking teams.
Yeah, like it's like, oh, I tanked all year, and then like they're going to be the tanking teams are going to be mad. But what are they going to say? They're going to be like, you can't do that because I was doing the thing I wasn't supposed to do.
They'll know.
They'll
know it's coming, so they'll tank less. But that'll be good for the league. Like, however you do it, it's better for the league. It either punishes the tanking teams or there'll be less tanking teams. And the teams that are absolutely the worst and really need young talent will have the first best shot at it. That seems like totally equitable. That's the point of the lottery, right? The point of the draft, I should say, is to give the worst teams a chance at the best talent. These are going to be the two worst teams in the league. Almost certainly. Now, maybe they'll have a few veterans because for salary cap reasons and stuff like that. But they're going to be awful. Awful. They'll have nobody to build around.
Chris Middleton and CJ McCollum are going to be on those teams for sure.
I mean, if the draft is soon enough, yes. And if not, it's going to be like Bones Highland. It's going to be like a starter for them. It's going to be real bad. Real bad. If they're lucky, they get like Baylor Shireman and shit. Shaden Sharp is scoring 25 points a game and they win 14 games kind of a thing. Like that's how it's going to go.
Shaden Sharp is scoring almost 25 points a game.
All right. He scores 35 points a game. He leads the league in scoring. Right. But whatever. But that's what we're looking at. So I don't see any reason at all why they shouldn't get top billing here for the number one pick.
So one thing in terms of like the player pool, Grant, you're right. That's how they did it in the past, and it probably is how they will do it. But I have seen people argue that the new collective bargaining and the new cap rules make protecting the kind of protecting of 8 players less fair, because there are these sort of like legacy older contracts like CJ McCollum, like Chris Middleton. In a couple of years, Rudy Gobert will be making like $50 million and he'll be an aging 35-year-old center, and the Timberwolves probably would be very happy to not protect him and be like, yeah, if you want his $50 million salary, thank you. So is there a way, and then they just, so the available player pool to them becomes aging, not very good bloated salaries, or kind of maybe up and coming but not very good young players. So all the players they're getting, they either bloat their salary with these sort of like terrible veterans, or they don't get very good players. Is there another way to do it?
First of all, just to be clear, this is how it's always been with expansion drafts. What you just described, 100% of the time, that's how it's been, at least in the last 40 years. It's always, those are the only two pools you get to pick from. Bad contract players who aren't terrible, or young players who are likely to be terrible. That's about it. Now, if we could change it, I'm open to that, because these teams are so bad, and it becomes a little bit easier to protect players. It's not that hard to come up with 8 guys if you don't care about your $60 million Rudy Gobert thing. And in fact, what happened, I don't know if it was last time, but in the last few expansion drafts, where teams would actually give first-round picks to the expansion team to take a particular player. Like, please take Rudy Gobert off our hand and get us out of the salary cap hell when you have got a salary floor to fill anyway. Here's a first-round pick. Take it, please. And he's not bad, and maybe you can trade him for something, or maybe not, but you get a first-round pick, and you need a center who's not terrible, so congrats. That's not like really to me, that sort of sucks. Like, I don't love that that's the way. Any kind of salary dumping stuff is generally less interesting than like player skill type stuff in terms of trades or drafting and stuff like that. So I'm all for a scenario where, teams have a chance to actually get someone good. But how would you do that? The only thing I can think of is you protect less players, right? So is it protecting 7 players? Could it be 6, you're starting to actually have a real shot at some young talent, I think. 7, you're still going to get a little bit better, but it's going to still be, I think, pretty brutal. I think if you're protecting 7, there's just not a whole lot left. Like, Shaden Sharp is going to be available, I think, if you're protecting 7 players. Chance. He's not going to be available?
No, the Blazers are protecting Scoot, Sharp, Klingon, Advia, and Kamara for sure. Those are their top 5 that they're protecting. Guaranteed.
What's Sharp's contract?
It's like 4 years, $100 million or something like that. It's not.
All right.
Not
okay.
That bad.
Yeah. You follow the Blazers if you say so. I don't know. I'm for less players protected, because I think these teams take so long to get going. Grant said in 5 years it won't matter. I don't know if I can think of a time where 5 years out after the expansion draft, an expansion team was any good at all. Like, I just remember it happening. I think it's like 8-9 years usually. I guess Orlando probably had the best thing going because they got to draft Shaq
and Penny
when they did. And then Penny the year after because they went back-to-back first overall picks somehow, and then traded the first overall pick to get Penny and got 3 first-round picks along with it. I mean, it was pretty incredible. Then it all fell apart anyway pretty quickly. This magic moment, by the way, it's a great 30 for 30, which has all of that and more. Anyway, but short of getting Shaq, lucking out and getting like the true generational Wembanyama type player, I don't know that these teams ever get good quickly at all.
Well, actually, that was my last question. So let's jump into that. You get to pick your NBA Executive of the Year. You have just an amazing coach, an amazing GM, all running the new Seattle Beavers or whatever. How long does it realistically take one of these teams to actually become competitive? And by competitive, let's say a playoff team.
I mean, I think it's a draft luck thing. I don't think. I mean, both markets could attract players in free agency, but free agency isn't what it was 10 years ago. You don't get the same type of players in free agency, and it's a lot of restricted free agency, so it'd be difficult to land a true star. But if they have the draft luck and get the first overall pick in the second year of their existence, maybe by year 4 they're a good team. You know, I think that could happen for sure. If an Orlando type situation happens and then Shaq doesn't decide to go to LA, you know, you could actually have a real team moving forward. So I think it's possible to do it within 3 or 4 years. It could be done.
I mean, look at the Oklahoma City Thunder. They trade Paul George. They get like 7 first-round picks in Shea. Now, they happen to hit a home run getting Shea. They developed him. They chose him. That was part of the, they demanded that he be in the deal. So maybe they knew something already, and it wasn't as lucky as it seems. But then they basically tanked for a few years, right? Tried to get like top picks. That worked out. They got Chet Holmgren, which I'm not a huge fan of, but is pretty darn good. They got Jalen Williams. They also have a million other pretty good young players on their team, and now they have all these first-round picks as well. But that even took them, and I would say they were run about as good as you can run a team. That took them, 4 years to become like a legit team that someone took seriously? Something like that, 3 or 4 years. And that was starting with Shea already. So that's like already like hitting on the first overall pick or getting the first overall pick or like a top 5 pick at least and hitting on it. It's just a really tough road to pull this kind of a thing off. And you almost never see it except in the, not even first overall pick, it's like generational talent first overall pick who actually works out. Again, Shaquille O'Neal is the obvious best example of that off the top of my head. LeBron James, that's a good example too. But even with LeBron, the Cavs were bad for years.
I mean, it's pie in the sky, though, to think that like a team is deserving of being championship level within 4 years anyway. Like that's a lucky.
But we're talking
even look at the Washington Wizards. 500. Look at the Washington Wizards. They've never won anything in the fucking history of the world.
No, they haven't. They
really haven't. And that's not an expansion team. You're just not guaranteed to win. So you're going to be bad for a little while. So be it. You get an NBA team. It's fine.
So given that, do you think there's any in the first 5 years of these expansion franchises, let's just say, pick a random number, 5 years, do you think they should get any special advantages? Extra cap room, priority waivers, any kinds of things that other teams don't have access to?
Nah.
No.
I don't know why. Okay. The thing that would really suck is if that worked, right? You give them better lottery odds, and you give them extra cap room for 5 years, and then suddenly somebody figures something out or gets a little bit lucky, and suddenly they're a true title contender almost immediately. And all these other teams that have put in their time, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who've been knocking on the door and trying and making trades and doing what they can, and I don't know if it's going to work out there, by the way, but they have a young superstar player and they have things. But suddenly they're just surpassed by the Las Vegas Rollers because the Rollers got the number 1 pick 3 years in a row, or they got 2 generational players, and because they hit number 1 2 out of the last 3 years because they got these extra lottery odds, or because they had so much extra money, they were able to trade for guys who actually are good, but their salaries are a little too big, and the teams have to get off them because of the second apron or something like that, like what happened with Drew Holiday going to the Blazers, for example, and Porzingis going to the Hawks. this kind of thing happens a lot right now. And it's probably going to keep happening until they change some of those more pejorative salary rules the other way.
Draconian, maybe?
That's better than pejorative in that example. I guess. Maybe not.
Fine.
Nah, I like mine.
Okay.
All right. Well, what else? Are there any other things that we didn't cover in terms of expansion?
I really my overall thoughts are that I think it's exciting. I think it's cool. I don't like maybe I'm just getting a lot of vibes from this one podcast I listened to, the Ringer NBA show, about how they're just like so disillusioned by it. And I think that I've heard of a couple other NBA pundits with this type of vibe about it. Just like, this is just the NBA trying to make more money. They don't care about the fan experience. This is going to dilute the talent. I don't really, if that's what happens, I'll be sad, but I don't feel like that's what's going to happen. I feel like this is good for the league. I think it's good for the fans to have more fan bases, more places that root strongly for teams. And it's exciting mechanics of how it all works. I think it's fun from like the perspective of how is this all going to work? What are the teams going to look like? What if Bones Highland actually is good? Let's find out, Like,
he's showing signs.
So yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's cool. That's my overall thoughts. I'm excited for it. I think it'll be cool, and I will enjoy it.
Overall, I like it too. I do want to say, I feel like we're in the pundit or commentator disillusionment era in the NBA right now. With the tanking that's going on, there's just a lot of cynicism about all of this stuff. You have Shaquille O'Neal has sort of proudly for the last 20 years not really known guys who are in the rotation on contending teams. Like I've never heard of that guy before. It's like, dude, he's the sixth man on the third best team in the league. Like, what the fuck? And he's like, doesn't care, And Charles Barkley, who I and everyone loves, to be clear.
Yeah.
They've been a running game on that is who he play for. Now that's for guys who are at least on the end of the bench. So, but these guys sort of actively don't watch the games and complain about the games that are currently on. Like Charles Barkley constantly complains about the 3-point shooting. And while I complain about the 3-point shooting too, but it's always like it was better back in our day kind of a thing, which is, it's a little weird to have that be the face of inside the NBA is sort of the pundit face of the league. And yet those guys mostly complain about the league. Kenny Smith doesn't, but the other guys mostly do. It's a weird spot. And then you add in the tanking, you add in all this other stuff. I think there's a lot of cynicism right now. Mm-hmm. Maybe some of them are just also, especially the ex-players, are annoyed. Like Shaq, wouldn't shock me if he's annoyed that he never got to make $60, $70 million a year. He did really well for his time, but that time is over and it's really different now. And he's doing very well, but like some young kid who's not nearly as good as him and will never make the Hall of Fame is going to make more money than Shaq ever has now. Like that's going to become a normal thing. And it's just he's going to have to eat that basically. And that's all the way it's always been. Larry Bird had to watch that happen too, of course. Magic Johnson had to watch that happen, but it's still, some of these guys it hurts more than others. And I think Shaq, it really, really hurts. Shaq wants to be, he always says like, I never wanted to be the best player of all time. I wanted to be the most dominating, which is like, none of that makes any sense, of course, right? Like, first of all, of course you want to be the best player of all time. Second, if you were the most dominating, I think most people would say you were the best. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, Shaq was great as a player. It's a shame.
What are the chances he knows the team and how to pronounce the name Jake LaRavia?
I mean, I wouldn't know how to pronounce Jake LaRavia, so
you just did it.
Only because, I'm special. But like Shaq didn't know like rotation players on the Celtics the last time the Celtics played on TNT and like was openly like laughing about how he doesn't know these guys. And it's sort of weird. It's a little bit like a fuck you to the fans, just a little bit, not a big one, but a little bit. Like I don't care enough to even know the teams that are on TV on our show right now, guys who are important and these teams are good. I still don't care enough to know. Like that's just weird to me. And it's been like this forever, but it's off. And I'm always surprised Shaq gets to keep having his job. He's had it for 20 years, so they love him. They must think he adds something. I'm not sure what he adds, except he gets angry at Charles and talks about how he won more titles and he's got rings and basically thinks every center's worse than him. And like, I don't know why we have to watch that. Like, can't he just have a YouTube channel where he says that stuff? Like, why do we need to have that on TV? Like, I want to hear Chuck and Kenny make funny jokes. That's what I'm there for, if anything. I don't really watch that show, but if I did, that's what I'd be watching it for.
It's weird. It's interesting you say that because like I've had a conversation with a friend about this, about how the NBA media, like the true media stars circling the NBA, are far more negative about the product that they are covering than any of the other major sports leagues. Like all the other major sports leagues have people who are kind of like rah-rahing and kind of glossing over maybe some of the like parts of the league that you maybe are like the dark underbelly of every sports league. And the NBA is really like shining a light on it and casting like this sort of like I think it really hurts the product that
I agree.
They have that. It's kind of interesting that happens. I don't know why the NBA doesn't try to figure that out a little.
Yeah.
The NBA's had problems along these lines for a long time, not just that way, in both directions. Like I guess this is sort of the same thing, but like the Homer color commentary that always happens on the local broadcasts where they kill the refs, always make it sound like the refs are against their team. And like they do it so much, and I've seen it happen both with my team, and I often watch, because I watch all the Celtics games, I often watch the other team's commentators because it's fun to listen to hear what they have to say about the Celtics, but then listen to them complain about the refs the same way the Celtics commentators complain about the refs. Everyone basically does that. There's like four color commentary, or four commentator groups that don't, but like 26 that do. And it basically creates a worse product from a fan point of view where it feels like we're being cheated when they're not. Like, of course they're not being cheated. This is absurd. But that is a constant thing that is being told to people, along with all the stuff you're talking about. We're like, yeah, in the NFL, okay, they don't shine a light on some things they probably should. But if Troy Aikman said something like, Pat Mahomes isn't nearly as good as I was, everyone would be up in arms. Everyone would freak out, right? Because that's absurd. And also, what the fuck, Troy? Like, you know, Troy's known for speaking his mind, by the way, but always praises the current players. They respect the current players is what it is. But it's like the NBA punditry does not respect the NBA players. It's really odd, except LeBron. But basically, they kind of hate everybody.
Maybe expansion will help that somehow. Some magical way. You know?
Maybe. Yeah.
Shaq will be like, Las Vegas has a team. You know what? I think it's okay if centers take threes because Las Vegas has a team. I think it's fine. Go ahead, take a three.
I got to chip away at the work. I got a bigger play to rehearse. I got to live today like I'm in the race. Show the world I know my own worth. Heavyweight to burden, I persevere. Been persevering since birth. Fight for what we deserve until we reunite Mother Earth. We're rewriting the rule book, rewiring our brains. Deep dive in the framework, yeah, we can be the change. Future's ours to claim if we